for those of you who were at the first session, which was very few of you, this is now the second session of the day. Part one didn't go as well as I hoped it would. We're down 3.5% at the start of the session, and right now we're looking at the setup currently, which is I'm looking at the H4 chart for now, which is the just seeing that it's just gone by a significant level. So let me just guide you along with that, where I'm talking about that. So here, let me get to, want to get out of the way. What I do, go this way? I guess so, yeah, okay. Let me get into small Joe, like that. And just talk about where the level has been before. So you can see that there is a level, the H4 level. I'm not sure whether you can see the details in the chart. Let me just increase this so I can show you the details as well. This is the level that it was at. There we go. This is the level here. That's the H4 level, which means that at the very high time frame, at the 4-hour time frame, there's been a change in direction in the past at that particular area. So that's a significant level. And currently, the price is going through this significant level at H4. So we are curious, or we are at least keen to see what happens to the price. So it's marked out by the white line. And if you've just found this, I hope you saw all the disclaimers. Those still remain in place. The idea is that, you know, trading is something you have to be careful about. You can lose more than your capital. That's because of leverage trading. All these things are just things that I had to put out as advice, even though what I'm saying right now is in general, this is not advice to trade. So just again, to be very clear about that, this is not telling you what to do in your own trading. Do your own research, find out more about it, learn. This is my own video for myself, right? It's a way for me to look back, to review, and also to be accountable, because I'm making the moves that I make in a public fashion. As in, someone can come along and have a look and go like, hey, hang on, you're supposed to be doing this, but you're doing that instead. So simple rules that I try to stay on is trading with the trend, as always. Always looking for entries after a signal, right? The signal is not the same as an entry. What does that mean? That means you might get a signal that confirms that something is supposed to be a move in a certain direction, but it does not equal time for you to get into the trade, because there are other factors that may make it the correct time or not to enter the trade. So you may get a signal that says, yep, the sell is on or the buy is on, and then you have to look for the trade after that. We also want to trade off major levels as well. We want to make sure that we're only interested in trades that are coming off the major levels. Right now, that part of it's being satisfied. What isn't quite being satisfied is the fact that it is now at the edge, or at the lower edge of things. So it's very tempting to sort of look at something like this and go like, okay, I want to try and get in on the trade, because if you look at it right now, you get the sense that this is going in the right direction, right? You know that it's moving, it's moving down. You know it's heading in that direction. It all seems to be very clear that it's going in that direction. So the temptation is to want to get in on the trade right now in that direction, but it's not the time for it, right? Because at this point, if you do a sell, it's literally the highest price you can pay, the premium, if you like, on an entry based on it being a sell, because you are right at the leading edge of the price going down, right? Which means that the price can come back up again as well. And if you sell at this point, you bear the biggest risk in trying to take a position in what you know is probably the right direction. Okay, I hope that makes sense. it's okay. It makes sense to me, which is the most important thing in this particular case. But yeah, it's about making sure that I don't get sucked into the trade because I see it going in the right direction and I'm feeling like I missed out on it, so I'm gonna go chasing after it. So as you can see, it went there, it formed a new low, and then there seems to be a bit of a pullback. This always happens at or around the whole time markers. Like we talk about on the hour. So right now it's 5 o'clock Singapore time. So the clock has just ticked over, and this is a new 15-minute candle that's forming on the screen right now. If I go down to 5 minutes, you can see that's where the action just happened as well. And then we're just going to go a little bit deeper into the 1-minute chart to get a better idea of what the market is actually doing at this particular point. So again, the rule is never to take the trade in the middle of the main areas. So I won't be doing that. But I will just, I guess, review a few things that are happening right now on the chart, why I am looking quite keenly at this. What I do see here, which is favorable, again, series of lows, highs that are going down, so low highs. We had this earlier today, and in fact, we were trading that, but it came back up and took out the stop that I had from earlier. So that's the trade-off, because I had to go and do work and all that. I didn't want to leave a trade open, and I was feeling a little bit insecure about losing a little bit more money, right? When a trade gets moves against you. So I decided to move the stop to a slightly better than break even. So even though it didn't go my way, I didn't lose more money on it. I made a small profit, but not significant at all. But this is the continuing pattern that I see today. Still downward, and we're looking for an opportunity. In my mind, I'm still looking for an opportunity to get a good sell on this market. Arguably, I managed to do a little bit of that before, but I put the stop a little bit too close, and I got taken out the last time around. So that is that for now. So I don't know if anybody is actually on the channel with me. Well, someone's watching, but maybe no one's commenting yet, but that's kind of the way it goes. I am gonna look out for the chat in the meantime. There's nothing else really to do from in the middle of things, right? Because we're not really trying to be active. The idea, as the intro song, as I keep talking about, it is about slowing down. It's about just seeing when the opportunity comes up and what's to be done. So let's see what we can do in the meantime. I would like to play a podcast. Well, actually, I don't know what the rules are. If I play a podcast on my show, on my live stream, what happens to it? I like to listen to podcasts to fill the time, because that is something I feel that is a very useful way to spend the time. In fact, what I usually do when I'm trading is a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So there's a whole screen, not just of what I've got going here on my screen for trading, but also some other work that I'm doing and preparing for other clients. And that's the nature of trading for me. It doesn't require your full attention before it gets to a point when it gets to be interesting. So for now, it is away from the line that makes it interesting for me, as in, like, it's supposed to be that white line above that one. I'll make the line a bit bigger so you can see what I'm talking about here. But this white line is the line from the H4 level before. So why is it a significant level for us? It's because the rest of the market uses shorthands to understand the market as well, and a large time frame indicator is actually more significant to a bigger part of the market, and especially the ones that actually have the means to make a real difference in the market. So the market makers, right? So if you think about this, if you're a really big trader, and the way you look at your day is just like, I'm going to be doing a lot of other stuff. I'm going to be taking orders, talking to clients, and then at the end, I'm going to consolidate what I want to do, and I'm going to be putting in my orders based on what my very large clients have said they want. They've defined certain prices for them. This is all going to happen based on certain very strong reference points. And if you are a large player, you're not going to be looking at the small details like this. So even as we are looking at the 15-minute chart, this is completely, well, almost completely irrelevant to the very large scale trader, because it's too small, in terms of how they would look at things. So the very large scale trader might be looking at things from this perspective, right? This is the H4 chart, which is the 4 hours chart. We've just ticked over a new hour as well, and what it has done is, it seems to be in that last 4 hours, it seems to have confirmed again a downward trend. The question is, where does it go to? We don't know yet. That's the question that's to be answered. But we do know it's passed through that level, a previous H4 level, which is a significant thing. And you can see there's also some correlation here. You can see around. Okay, so this is where, I hope you can see that. I'm not sure if you can see that, but okay. So this is on the white line. All right. You can also see that. Here we go. Here on the white line. And you can see also that this is also a level where the H4 came to the last time as well, and visited, and it was significant, right? So what is significant about the current level is that it is now below that line, which means that we are looking for a sell. But again, what we're looking for is a sell at good value. So right now it's at the bottom of the price, right? So again, why is it not good value? Again, if you join this channel, this is not a teaching channel as much as it is a reflection channel. It's for my benefit so that I can follow my own rules better. Right now, I don't want to sell because this is literally, it's like the worst price that I can pay for this sort of deal. And while I can be right, and probably will be right if I sold because it looks like it's going down, the risk that I'd be taking on is the bounce back. It's ever so likely that the price will bounce back before it goes back down again. And then in the meantime, I'd be bearing all of this risk. So what I'm actually going to be waiting for is retracement so that I can find a good deal when the price comes back up here somewhere before it goes back down. Which, again, is sometimes something that doesn't happen. And if it doesn't happen, the idea is not to get too butthurt about it, right? So yeah, the update is 3.5% down after the first session. And unfortunately, it was one of those things where the last trade that was put in on the last on the first session actually would have matured right now and done quite well and taken us into profit. But because I moved the stop loss to break even because I was a little chicken shit, that basically took us out. And that's the way it works. So here's the thing about, let's have a look at what we call the history. Let's see, we have to show trade history so we can see what happened there. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see this, but up here, this is where The trade was before we went for the break. That trade got taken out because I moved the stop down. So this is where it went out. And it would have stayed in if I just put my stop before that. But again, that's again higher than where I probably would have wanted to have it. And so we're out of the game. We can't play game over there. Okay. But it's okay. As someone I know likes to say, there's no crying in the casino. Which doesn't sound like a healthy kind of arrangement anyway, but there you go. Okay. So it's a strong push downwards, as you can see, and it's tantalizing to go like, oh man, there's been this strong push. Why am I not on this? And unfortunately, because of the rules that we're playing with, it's not a game to play. We're not there to try to jump on the surfboard right as the wave is getting to the beach. That was a metaphor that I didn't think about until I said it. So, but you know, it kind of works that way. As I'm like, you know, if you think about everything like a wave, this is a wave. Every price movement is in the shape of a wave. It goes up, goes down, goes to the edge where it loses energy. And if you think about what we're trying to do, one of the ways that I think is useful to think about trading is that we're actually trying to be surfers, right? We're trying to get in on the action in such a way that we can ride it all the way to the shore, right? So let's just hypothetically say that if we were to try and let's say if we did what we usually do when the price comes down, looks like it's going down and looks like this is the way it would go, we would quite justifiably, I think, okay, we could try and take a trade from there. We could try and sell from there. And at the time, we would be kind of right? The price was going down. It feels like it's going down. It's come down through here, so it's likely that this sell was going to work, and we're correct about the direction, right? But what would happen is there is a pullback that almost invariably happens as well. Again, because we recognize how waves work, right? So what we are trying to do is look for the wave that comes back, and as the wave's going out, we see confirmation of it. Not in this first move here, so it's not it would be an illusion for us to say we're gonna trade this movement down here, because that wouldn't be something we would actually be doing safely, because it actually would be from a higher point as well. That's not a good idea, right? But where it would maybe make sense is where it comes back up again from going up here and then goes back like this and then comes back up, but doesn't make it all the way down and begins to come down like that. So that is where we would look at something we could perhaps turn into a trade, because that shows the sign. It's in context. It's the continuation of what's going down is happening to it's going downwards, and it looks like it could be that, right? It's never 100% because we don't know. We can't tell the future. We never can. But we're trying to position ourselves to be in the best position possible, right? So what's happened currently? Again, all this commentary is just for my own benefit, right? What's happening currently is the downtrend still very much in. The price has done a number of things. It has broken down. It has done a breakthrough. It's gone through this level. It's also significantly gone below that level, right? So it's a sign that the sell is open. It's like the door for the sell is now open. But now we're looking for the entry that is going to set us up nicely. If I only spoke when something was going to happen, this is going to be a lot quieter. You know what I'm going to do? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to the podcast. Well, you know what? I guess this is like sharing a podcast with you. We'll see what happens to this. I'm just going to play one of my favorite podcasts, which is Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. It's on my phone. So
logic today. I don't know. This doll poops, it wets, it cries, and it becomes massively erect. It stars in its own Skinamax after dark. Oh, come on.
it's I guess it's lucky that I labeled this as not suitable for kids.
No, it's neutral. So it didn't look like a girl. It doesn't look like a boy. She buried it. And
Okay.
then I got pregnant. Right. With, yes, the help of fertility doctors, but still. I am not someone who I say if it's working for you, go with it. And I don't pretend to know the answers. I really don't. Yeah. And I was very impressed, and I have been very impressed by Armenians and by your country. And I'm just like, you guys have this very strong spirit, and I think, yeah, I would give it up for any power that you guys have. And this tree, surviving,
Okay.
I have to say, it's a powerful thing. It's cool. See. My parents, I sent them a picture of it because Liza sent me a picture of the tree. It's surrounded by just charred stuff. And they were really touched and happy that it survived. Oh, good. They were really, really happy. And my mom was not surprised.
So one of the things that I've just done here is marked this significant level on the M15. And again, a significant level is where the price has changed from red candle to a green candle. So this is where the price flipped over basically from earlier on the M15. Because these levels now become significant in the next time frame. So for me, I'm going to look out for it as a kind of target or as an area of interest, right? So we have this white line, which is the H4 line, right? And then we have this M15 line as well, another area of interest, which has been recently generated. And we're just going to see what the price action is like as it approaches this, right? Now, if it like tries to get up there, and even as it tries, it gets rejected and pushed away from it, I'm going to take it as a really strong sign of the downward movement that is impending. And I think one of the things that really gets me most times is this feeling that this this kind of large movement like that one that happens here is what's going to happen every time. As every movement begins, the brain goes, okay, oh man, this is the big thing that's happening right now, and I'm missing out on it, right? And what's really interesting for me, as I've been trading over and over and over and over again, is realizing that many times, if anything, they're going to be there will be motion, there will be movements, and market, will seem to burst out in certain directions, but it won't be like this huge moves. It'll be kind of like smaller moves along the way, and occasionally it's more the exception than the rule. Occasionally you'll have something that's a bit larger, and it goes like that. So what's more likely actually is another small, relatively small move like that as the price is going from layer to layer. So it helps to make sure that I don't chase every single thing down. And just for some context right now, what I am looking for is something to enter this area here. So I'm going to mark that out on the screen first. And I'm going to put that on the trading chart as well so that you can see it a bit clearer. This is an area of interest for me. I'm marking this as well so that when I look at it on a smaller time frame, it's going to be, I can see it that way, so I can see the context of what I was thinking of before. It's important stuff to make sure your brain remembers the area in which you're operating, right? Because you can get lost. I get lost. I get lost, and then I get enthralled. I get, I go like, oh, I really want to go in. I want to really go into a trade because it looks like it's fun. Looks like it's going the right way. And the thing about the method that we're using, that I'm using, that I've been encouraged to use, is to trade only in a way when things are really, really sure, right? As in, like, we want to move only when we are absolutely certain about where something is going, and it's a bit. It's a bit of a I won't say misnomer. It's not quite a reasonable expectation to think that you will know literally where it's going. But what you can do is you can map it out in such a way and say that, look, all the existing evidence is pointing in that direction. And when that happens, that's a pretty strong reason to perhaps take some action, right? So something is happening in the market right now, and we don't know exactly what it is that's caused this little spike in the price. It tried to push up, but it didn't quite go anywhere. It went back and hit significantly that the price from before, the H4, and it's come down very quickly. So this is actually looking interesting, because that is the sign of what you call it's what you call a retest, right? So a retest is when the price goes away from a significant price, and then it goes back there and just retests it. It goes back there, touches it, and it's almost like it really is like a touch and go. And to me, this looks like something we may want to take some action on, and it depends very much on how the candles close right now, because there still looks a little bit like some momentum that is trying to take us up. It was rejected quite fast, because you saw it. If you see it in context as well, you can see the nature of the move, and that move was quite rapid on the way up and then rapid on the way down. So we'll see what happens now as the market consolidates. It may try again. It may try and work on a retest, and we'll see. The test is the part that we have to get used to, because in the midst of it, we don't know whether it's going to pass the test. We don't know whether or not, like, as it tries to push up against this price, as it's testing, whether it will succeed. So we have to wait, as we're doing right now, for the candles to close. So there's a new candle there. It's a new level. And technically, we have to recognize that the market structure currently in this mini area is actually creating a little bit of a buy situation, which is not what we're looking for, right? But the current trend is moving in this direction here against the bigger trend that we're trying to catch, right? Reminder to self, this is the big trend that we're trying to catch, which is in this direction. This rejection, this little rejection here, that's interesting, because it might be a key to it. It's a nicer arrow I can draw here. There you go. Ta-da! Okay. But anyway, it's not the size of the arrow that counts. All right, so let's have a look at other levels. There's nothing else that I can actually see using the other levels for now. There's no immediate level that's just gone by. The only level that I have, if I look at the M15 most recently, is the level that is here. But nope, nothing else happening there. Waiting for that to resolve. So yeah, all eyes are on what happens here right now, especially when we talk about that H4 line, because it was a significant line, is a significant line because historically it meant something. It means that there are big traders who are, have a position of some kind, or may have some position left of some kind in that area, and that's why we saw that very rapid movement from before as well. The question is whether or not it'll mature. Let me do this. Let me mark it a different way so that we can come back to it and examine it if we want to in future. Okay, anyway. Didn't want to do that. Never mind. There you go. Okay. That is an arrow that's stuck on the actual chart. So that's going to be useful for us because then we can just come back to it later and be curious about that. So let's go up here and adjust it a bit more. We are curious about what happens when it interacts with this moment or this level. Look like that as well still. Great. And technically it's already come back to the level. It's already tested the level. We'll see what happens beyond here. It may not come back up again because it may just be done. And it may be done. Let me see. The potential that this is done with this price is there. There is no 100% about it, but it looks like it might be done. Okay, I'm going to do a sell. And I'm going to put that up there. Another 3% risk, 2.5% risk. Again, I'm going to play it small steps at a time. So there's a part of me that wants to go and, like look for the opportunity for this to go all the way, right? I mean, there's everything is possibly a moonshot, everything could be this huge move that goes all the way. And it's possible if we just look at the, if you look at what's happened in terms of price, it actually is possible that the next stop for the price could be down here somewhere. And that is going to be $25 trade, right? So it's a possibility, and it's on the outside. But in terms of what is very, very likely, and this is the thing that again is always a challenge for me, is how do I keep my eye on the prize, which is actually short trades along the way that compound into one big profitable into a profitable account, is how to try to approach that level, right? So why this is currently of any interest to me is just because of where prices seem to be, as in, like, if we look at just the way the prices are moving right now, like here, there is there is a lower end to this right now because it has bounced back previously at this price. So I think what I should do is I should just base my target price somewhere here. It's going to be conservative. It's not going to be a big celebration sort of number. Actually, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's going down. Tell you what, let's see whether or not we get some luck with this. And let's watch how the market moves around the price. I am going to mark it as a dotted line for myself. And let's see whether or not it gives us any kind of response. It might push right through, right? And that's going to be interesting as well, because we could actually end up with a big trade. One of the things that people talk about is trying to ride the wave all the way, right? And there is solely based on the idea of symmetry. There's this idea in trading that there is a symmetry of the market, right? And that is something that you'll see on the other side. So let me get rid of the text on the screen, and you can see what I'm talking about. So there is this side of the market here where we can see there's a kind of movement in this direction, like, oh no, not in that direction, but in the opposite direction. But it is at that slant, right? So you can see earlier on the market had moved this way, right? And right now we seem to be on a almost a mirrored sort of the equation as it's moving, as the chart's moving down as well. And there is this theory about symmetry in markets. When you see a chart, there's a left and a right. They almost is a kind of symmetry that happens with charts, right? But that's always a retrospective thing. People look at it and go like, oh, okay, when I took a step back, I realized that was the case. It seems to be there's a basis to it. And the reason actually is it's actually because a chart is a record of history, right? And the way the record of history is going to replay is that it'll have reference points that were based on what happened before. So we're human beings, and therefore we respond to that. So the last time a price, was hit, there's going to be a certain way that the market responds to it because of what the psychology of the market might be at the time, right? So, like for instance, let me just look at this this level here. So let me get out of the way there. So if I look at where the crosshairs are, you can see that this is a level that was struck before, and then as the price went down and then came back up to here, it was pushed back down from this price because at this level, the market had established a certain thing about the value of this market already. It was a market where it was being sold from. So that as the price came up in that direction, the market said, yeah, no, it's okay. It's just going to keep, we don't see the additional value at this point. We're going to continue selling this. In the meantime, let's see whether this is going to hold or not. This price seems to be moving up. This little candle, this one here that showed up while we were talking, I should have been paying more attention to it. That is a reversal. That seems to be reversing back into the uptrend. So let's see. I think I'm going to just bring it down to here and say, okay, well, if I'm wrong, then I'm just wrong like that, because the thesis is based on the price staying below the previous high. And if it doesn't do that, then I have to be wrong. So this is where the previous high was. So if the price does come up above here, then my thesis for doing this trade is wrong. So I should get out. And that's only about 1%. There's a reason why we talk about trading as being this terribly lonely thing, because you don't have necessarily people around you to cheer you on, or chit chat with you, and it's okay. That's the way it goes. It's both. It's both what's great about it and what is bad about it, I guess. It's great because you don't really have anyone else to worry about. Right? There's no other client. There's nobody to try to have you. There is no. There's no one who has to buy from you in a marketing sense. You don't have to sell your wares. The market is just perfect and liquid, right? Something to sell, you sell it, someone's going to buy it. If you have something to buy, you want to buy it, it's available. It's not at all like having a job or in sales. So in that respect, it's quite that's quite good, quite nice, right? As far as a life goes. Um, what is really sucky about it is you're never going to make something just because, right? You're not going to um you have to participate in the market to generate the profit or the outcome for yourself. As in, you analyze, you decide, you take a risk, and then you get the rewards based on that, right? So you can look at a market and try and be right, but if you don't put any money down, then you are not going to make any profit from that. For those of you who, for instance, like watch things like Tesla or something like that and say, oh, it's going to go up, going to go down, whatever it is, you take a position, but you don't actually put money down on that, the market's not going to give you anything for your opinion as long as you don't express it in terms of money on the line. Okay. So I'm not really liking what I see here, even though on the biggest screen like this, there's not much of evidence to say it's going to be reversing very hard. But I'm not liking it simply because it looks like it's going to pop back up again. It's not really pushing down in a convincing way. So I'm just gonna call that trade off and wait for another nicer, stronger opportunity, because this looks like it's gonna come back up again, and then you can see it is coming back up, and it's gonna push up. There's a little bit of energy in it. Just and to talk about what you can see and how you can see that and how you can respond to it. This is the thing that usually gets me, and I'm happy that I didn't respond to it, because there is this um, low here, and then there's this higher low here, right? And when you're committed sometimes to a certain position in the market, let me just take out this arrow. For instance, like this arrow is where we where I was keen to see a sell happen. We can get committed to the market and say, I want that position to happen. I want this to continue and be the thing that happens next. But the sign that comes in like this is the higher, this is the low, and then another higher low. This is a reversal already, right? This is and it doesn't mean it's a full reversal. It just means that it has reversed against your position. I'm gonna get better at this, at getting out early, right? As opposed to just kind of hanging in there to see what happens. Because again, it's a possibility, right? Come, it could come my way, but I'm actually going to be pushing against a rising tide, right? So it would have been so if you look at this right now, there is what I was doing earlier, which was the sell. But at the same time, I can see that there is a push that's coming up, coming up, coming up. It's pushing, 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 pushing. Do I know if it's going to go anywhere? I don't. I just know that I can see the evidence so far. It's push, push, push. It's pushing up. I should do it on this one so you can see this push. This is all the 1 minute chart. Push, push, push. Right. All that's going in the direction which is not favorable to a sell. So I'm just going to be waiting around to see what happens. If the price movement then comes back again and is favorable, then I might get into the sell again. But until then, I'd rather be on the very safe side of being out of the market until there's something more definite. Okay, so price action so far has been interesting, especially around this big line here, because what this white line here represents, this line here, that is the H4 line, which is a very big time frame. And right now we're looking at this in relation to a M1, which is really an insignificant number. It's just one 240th, to give you a sense of that. It's that small in terms of the size. So one H4 candle is 240 minutes. Each one of these candles is only 1 minute. So that's the relative size and therefore the relative importance of the trades that we're looking at here. So 5 minutes chart is slightly more significant. 15-minute chart is okay as well. And right now on the 15-minute chart, it looks like even an engulfing green candle is forming as well. So this is definitely showing signs of a push upwards. Not very good if you're trying to sell. And I am still inclined to want to sell. Now, old me would have been inclined to want to buy into this market. Because probably I would be right. Probably based on all the stuff that's happening here, I probably would be correct about my guess. Like based on this and based on this one point here, and then on this other point here, and this one here, that would lead me to think that, okay, there seems to be some kind of upward motion here. I probably could buy into this, and that could be something of a profitable move. But there is something else that's interesting that's going on right now here, and that is where this level is being challenged and tested, but not overcome. So we just want to wait and see what happens. It's still a bit of a battle there, and I've got no skin currently in the game. There's nothing. I have neither a sell nor a buy position. I'm just waiting to see what the market wants to do, and I want to see it in different contexts as well. So I'm going to see this as a from a 5-minute charts point of view. There is this previous high here. It seems to be trying to push up. It may come down later. We'll see. From a 15-minute chart, it looks like they are forming an engulfing bull candle, which is a bull signal, which means going to the upside. So that's pretty significant. The downward trend is still going on the M30, and the downward trend still on the H1, downward trend still on the H4 as well. So trend overall still going down. Current price movement coming up. Micro trend, yeah, it's on the way up here. So again, good if you're waiting. What we're trying to do now, remember we talked about the whole surfing thing earlier? So I'm waiting for a chance to catch the wave as this price hopefully just wears itself out in the face of what looks like the big trend. Okay, so I'm going to remove this little arrow because it's not what we're looking out for. And then we're going to zoom out a little bit more and just remind you of the overall trend. I'll bring that into the shot as well so we can see that. That's the overall trend still. These arrows just marking out. Oops. Delete, delete. Yeah. And why I am back in here is I'm trying to end the day on a positive if I can. But I won't keep pushing it because if I'm really having a terrible day, if I'm not being able to read the market at all, and I'm just completely crap at it, then I'm going to just say, come back another day. But it has not been the case. I've just been in the wrong part of the market, at least the where I estimated to be the ends or the upper ends of the market. I was wrong earlier a number of times, which is kind of frustrating, but you know, it happens. Right now, let's see where we are. I'll be cheeky about this, but I think I may have missed the early entry up here, only because of the rather lovely position of this. But we are talking about trying to find a second opinion every time. We want to make sure that it's ratified, as in like there are more players involved. So I don't want to get in there too early. That's the first sign, and something we might get excited about. As you can see, that if we completely got excited about that, we would have been in the wrong place, and if I was chasing it, it would be in the wrong place as well. Let's see where this goes. If this now forms a new high that is below that white line, which is the H4, that might be a very interesting signal, or at least a way to enter. Currently, price movement is still, like I said, on the way down. Price has pulled back. It's gone up against here. It's pushed up, and significantly, this is something to look out for as well, right? If you look at how let's look at the significant points here. So if you look at this point here, right, that's where there was a push down, and this is where I think we actually tried to take a trade there, and it didn't really pan out. Didn't lose money on it, but I think this is where, no, actually, that's not where we took a trade. What did we do? Oh yeah, we did try and do a trade. Didn't work out, and so we got out of it. Did not lose any money on that. And now we're seeing something sort of forming again up here, right? Which is more or less the same thing, but why would we take a little bit more, give a bit more credence to this particular situation? It's on the line, right? This is where the significant level is. So we're interested in it because it's a neighborhood where the big deals are being done. So if something pops off or is agreed off of a certain, like a major line, we're interested because it's not a minority opinion. It's actually something that's been done at a level where there's been some bigger agreement before. So this is another reason to think this is a good position to sell off. Let me have a look and see what the 1 minute chart looks like. Yeah, it doesn't have any double. It doesn't have a second low to sell yet, but this looks reasonable. And let me see what the risk is. 300 points. Yep, it's about right. Yep. So this is about the right size of it. And let's see whether it goes up. So we're going to see whether there's a chance. I am quite keen on the sell because of the signal that's come up and its position as well. I am looking at the 1 minute chart to just see that we have a convincing sell, right? Still not really convinced that a sell should happen here. Although right now the ratio of a sell is about 300 points. That's still pretty good. Something we can live with. So the big picture is it's coming down. Big picture is it had a it just printed a signal on the sell side, and I'm looking for an entry. And the reason why I'm not entering just yet is because on the 1 minute chart there seems to be a little bit of upward momentum that's still not fully resolved. So there's a good chance that it's going to climb a little bit more. And there is a slight chance that it's going to, or there is also as much of a chance that it's going to break past this level, the significant level. And if that happens, it changes the game completely. So we don't want to play until we know the market's intention, or at least it's more clear. So we've received a signal on the 5 minute chart, whereas the trends, everything else seem to be still in support. Right now I'm looking for an entry which may or may not come. So you're seeing the trends are always, or the tides, if you like, are always blowing, or winds are always blowing in both directions, right? There is the big, massive trend of the hours, and maybe 30s, 15 as well, still a big trend that's pushing down. But then when you get into the smaller details, you can see there's a little bit of a push up as well. But will it go up? Will it have the continued power? It doesn't look like it is going to do that. And for me, I think this is going to be enough of a reason. So I'm going to sell like that. And I'm going to put the stop loss up here, which is $2 risk. And for a reasonable position to take 7% profit. This should be just a little bit higher, just to be on the safe side. A phrase that I learned from, I think it's Tom Hilgard, the trader, and he learned it from somebody else as well. Don't be a dick over a few ticks. So trying to remember that. We've already been caught a couple of times today by me being a little bit too, I wouldn't say a little bit too conservative. Fair enough, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Looking at the previous performance and all that, got taken out by more than 300 points, so that's fair enough. So again, temptation to add on to the trade. And this is, again, to be very careful about this, to make sure that if I do that, that I remain within the confines of the risk that I agreed to. So right now, the risk that is on the table is about 2.5%, right? And because it's going against me right now, and if I decide that I want to do a sell in the same vein, I can get in on a sort of discounted version of the trade. The reason why it might be a good idea is because it seems to be still in place. The reason why it's not a good idea is because as the price moves against you, you're getting a little bit more evidence that you were wrong. So the question is, should you add on to something that's showing you more and more evidence that you're wrong? And the answer should be no. So at this point, you can see it's pushing up, and I think it's going to take me out. Let me see. I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it a few more points. 300. Okay. So $3. And let's see if it just leaves me alone. If it doesn't, it's going to come back down. So if you missed the first session, there's this idea that I have been looking at as well, where they say try to think about entries where you would have your stop losses, and that is kind of an example of how that market sometimes works. It's pushing up. It's going to get just to the edge. It's going to push harder just a little bit, and then it finds its gravity, if you like. Just goes up there, just goes above that previous high, and then it begins to do that push down again. It's really looking twitchy, and this is the hard thing about this. This actually is off of this line. This is a major line, and there's history and decisions that have to be made around this line. The question is, what is going to be the decision? And if I'm going to be fair about it, I think what I've done is I've gone in a bit early, as in like it's not really bid settled, and I took an early signal to say it was settled. It's looking a bit more settled now. And we'll see if it does not push up that much more. I might do a cheeky little trade and add a bit more to this. Okay, I'm going to do a cheeky trade here, only because it didn't push up that hard. And so it's about another, I would say, about 1% more that I put in there as a trade. And we'll see where that leads us to. So that's an illegal move by some standards. And for me, it's about taking a calculated risk, 1% calculated risk, which may not pay off in this case. Still being tested out there. There's a little bit more. You know what? Let's try that and see what I do. Okay. All right. Now I'm in bad boy country. I have just moved the stop loss a little bit to see whether this trade can mature. It's looking right on the edge. It's not great. And at this point, it would be a good time to just reduce the loss to a like if I close the trade right now, it's $2.50, $3, which is 3% or less than that. There is a sign that this thing may come, and this is me again arguing with the market, but I do see that it keeps coming up. It keeps pushing up. So there is constantly some energy that keeps pushing this price back up, which means that this little adventure may end in a loss of a few percentage points again. The only reason I'm hanging on is because there doesn't seem to be a conviction in this price rise, but it's persistent, which is irritating. This is going to go under the category of not a great trade. Sometimes a trade turns out as a winner, even though we did bad things. So right now, this is, by all intents and purposes, actually a bit of a cheeky trade. I am trying to. It's like I'm cheating the angel of death. The angel of death is coming. It's showing you that the trade is going to fail, and I'm saying no, I don't want to take it. Because it feels like it's gonna hurt. And at the same time, it feels like I'm gonna win, as in like it's gonna be possible for this to head down. It's within the story of the trade that a sell is going to work. So come on, let's see what can happen here. You know what I can do? I can actually go into it. I can do a hedge. These are all the negotiations of somebody who is on the verge of a bad outcome. Yep, here you go. That was it. So, not a great outcome. Time to wait. See what happens again. Look for the setup, and this is where that began to go wrong. The price began to push up against that again from that level that we had seen before. Yeah, should be one of those things where I just said nope. Anyway. Frustrating. We'll see. Just taking a measurement in terms of the size of the pullback from the previous move. It's a bit more than before. So at this rate, the adventure may be a bit shorter than we thought. Now we are down overall on the account by 10%. And this is again, the challenge from before, which is how do you manage the trade and finances so that you are going to be head off, you have a chance of winning back or coming back from your position. Currently, what I'm looking out for is levels that we can trade off. And for now, there is nothing. We're in the middle where there is nothing happening. We're in the middle of levels. So there's no trade. Oh, hang on. Technically speaking, this is off that level. Is that going to be something that we want to trade off? And this is the challenge. Okay. So while we're waiting for for things to sort of mature, we might as well review. And this is what can happen when it gets stupid. Here we go. So this is me seeing this that I pointed out earlier, seeing this that I pointed out earlier, And then somehow, I don't know why, but my brain just didn't say that this was happening as well. That is so, so clear. And it's happened. So, yeah, it's, as I said, trying to cheat the angel of death as you see it coming. You can really see it coming. All right, now to be patient, just to go, okay, wait, where's the next thing? It's going to take some time. I still don't believe the trend has changed. It's just where this pullback is going to go to right now that I wish I was better at reading right now. So let's have a look. Let's go to the levels. I'm just going to make this clearer so that it can be seen on the chart. Okay, let's not make it that big. Okay. This trend, arrow, leave it in place. Where's this trend coming from? Okay. So you may have seen that little jump in the price. Really shot down very suddenly. It's very close to significant line as well, an M15 line. What we want is a confirmation double on that. Not gonna kid you, man. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed at the start of this thing. So a simple series of rules that I'm to remind myself, and this is again as I do all of this, is just for my own benefit, right? It's a reminder that I'm trying to go with a trend. I'm trying to get back in with the bigger trend because it's easier to trade once the trend is moving in your direction. And also at the same time, just to be aware and look out for the trends that are pushing in the opposite direction. Because you have simple structure like what I saw just now, and to not pick it up, that's just ridiculous. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in myself for that. Not just a bit, a lot. Let's not try and sugarcoat that. So there is a tendency for markets to move from level to level. So it'll try to go back to a level where it came from, let's say before. So let's say in this particular case, we had what that yellow line represents is the M15 level. So this is where this price has reversed before. You can see that there's some areas where you can see some areas further back where it also like here is where this particular line is drawn right now, but you can also see that here is where this level has some significance previously. So it's a level that we are interested in currently, and in the big picture, the trend is still down. So I'm going to be with a bias towards the downside. I'm looking to find a reason to sell. But it's not just going to be when the price hits that line. It has to be because the price behaves in a certain way when it hits the line. If and when, right? So if it really just has a kind of hydrophobic reaction to the line, as in, like, it just comes up there and like a force field against the line, then we know it's good. It's a good sign. But for now, it is creeping up to that level. Let me see how well it's creeping up to that level. And then we're looking to see whether we can find a position ourselves well. So I got a reminder earlier today from my mentor to trade what I see. And I think what that's supposed to mean is, if you see that there is currently the trend moving in a direction, just to go with the trend moving in that direction, right? So currently the trend is moving up, but it's not a great time to be trading up, because the price is coming to one of the previous significant levels, and that's usually a place where price will bounce from as well. So a good place to set the target would be where the previous a previous level was, but it's also a terrible time to open a trade as you're approaching that level. You don't want to try to, as much as it's quite sure that it's going to reach that level, it's not the best trade to want to do that with. So like in the case currently, while it looks like a foregone conclusion that I could do a little buy here, probably make a little bit of cash and gain back some self-respect from this trading session, it would actually be a bad risk, because the potential of it darting down or going south at this point is somewhat significantly higher. So not a good risk to take on board. So we will wait for it to get to the line, and then we'll decide what we will do based on the price action. So it's coming up to the line. And it's also significant to note that this price that's coming to right now is kind of it's not a full round number, but it's 33.90. So it's a nice 10. It's a round number in terms of price as well. And that is also a good place for sometimes a turn in the market to happen, because if you think about again how someone who is a significant player in the market, right, is going to go about things, they do see the market in those bigger numbers. So 90 is here, 95 is up here, and the round number 3400 is up here as well. So that might be another thing to have a look at. In fact, if I look at this now, 3400 has a corresponding sort of high from before. That might be of interest as well. So we'll see. The whole point now is to wait and see what the market is going to tell you that it wants to do. So 3400 is there's actually a level from before that is on these are now the H1 levels that I'm looking at, right? And it seems to be pushing through that level currently that we were curious about. Seems to have pushed through quite convincingly. We'll see whether it comes back for a little bit of a retest. If it does, that could be interesting. Let's see if it pushes all the way through. And I'm going to remove this. I'm going to put this arrow away like that so that we don't get confused by it. It's not a what do you call it? Trend line. It's just an arrow to say, it remind us that the trend is going down. but it's not in itself a trend line. So could mislead us if we read it the wrong way. Coming up against that level, an H1 level, which is not to be trifled with. It's a big level. We want to see how it's going to behave versus that level. We traded this earlier today. You can see that happening. So there is history. There's history around it, right? So you can see what happened here before. This is what happened the last time the price was in this area. Now the price is coming back. The question is whether or not it's going to reverse or it's just going to come back and then continue in the downward direction, right? This is the big picture. Again, we're just going to confess the bias is for the sell, but with evidence to suggest that it's the right idea, right? Again, the temptation is to go ahead and take the first sign of it pushing down. I'm going to, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to sell. I'm going to sell and I'm going to keep it really tight. Yep. And as soon as this thing seems to be going wrong, I'm going to get out of it. And the reason why I'm okay to enter this right now is just because it is around what I think is a significant level. It's an H1 level. It came up to it. It turned around. And there is a good enough chance that something's going to happen off of it. But if it doesn't, I'm not going to stick around and argue with it. There's no need to. If it really is showing no signs of being correct, then I'll come back to it later, right? But if it runs right now, then great. If it doesn't, like I said, we'll come back to it later. I have my mouse on the button right now to get out in case it's just the wrong move for now, and I don't want to lose any extra dollars just because I am trying to win back a little bit on the game that I'm currently losing, right? But yeah, but for now, this is a reasonable enough entry because it's off a level. It's where the price has come up to it. It's tested it and it's tried to go across and it's been pushed down. And the other little idea is that it's also a round number, so it's 33.94. It's not quite 95, but it's a nice round number, so that's reasonable as well. And it's for $2 risk. And we want to see how that behaves for a while. Really should listen to a podcast, yeah. Ah, man. I guess if I put a podcast on, it's not going to be great for you, right? Because you'll hear a bunch of other stuff as well. So I'm going to put it on my headphones. By the way, I use these because they have like batteries for days. And when I say days, what I mean is like it can run the whole day. So I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I've been taken back. Oh man. Okay. Okay. Well, that worked out really well. Sarcasm. Now we wait. Now we see. So I'm realizing the downside of the idea that, when you trade in public, on the one hand, it is more accountable because I'm out in public, right? But the downside of it right now is I am feeling a push to perform, which, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the healthiest thing I can have on my mind right now, because I'm feeling a sense of wanting to achieve where even an opportunity to achieve might not be there. So this is something that I'm becoming aware of. I'm gonna wait this out to see where this goes. I need to wait for the next available level. And where is that gonna be? Yeah, we're still there. Still there. So we're still on this level right now. So this is the yeah. Yeah. So that is a challenge. The challenge is just for this to show its hand to you and to wait for it to show its hand, because the market actually does it. It's every candle is a summary of the time um, that you're looking at, right? So the 5 minutes, what happened? It's the fight between the markets, bulls and bears, and at this particular price, what was the outcome? So we're about to see what happens in this. Now, in the midst of it, it could be, it looks potentially like one of those things where the pushback is happening, right? The sell is happening. Um, but to be very honest, again, we don't know for sure, and we never do, right? All we can do is look at the foot tracks, the footprints, right? So the footprints for now tell a story of a push up all the way to the top, and then a pull down, and then following that it's a lower high. That's the footprint that we see on screen. But overall, we can also still see that there has been, a general push up as well, right? So there's even though there's on a minute chart, there's been a lower high right next to a previous high. It hasn't been, in the big context of things, there has been no new lower high separate of that. So it's on a 5 minute chart. There is nothing to see at all. We can see that the candle that seems to be forming right now, this is the 5 minute chart candle, seems to be one with a very, very big wick, right? Which is by itself just an early indication that perhaps there's a bit of a reversal going on. There's a bit of energy that's pushing in the downward direction. So in terms of a sell being in the making, that is quite strong there. And we're going to see now what this next candle actually shows, because the next candle is going to be a confirmation or not. And if there's enough energy to sustain the sell, then this next candle will be a red candle. So if we have that long wicked green candle along with a red candle following that, we have a reasonable case for a turnaround, and it would be strongest if the price actually came back down to below the white line. If it's above the white line, it's still a little bit iffy. We don't know exactly what the sentiment of it is, but once it is below a significant level, that's more of a sell sentiment. So we'll see. This looks good. And this is the challenge again. It's always like, okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You can see it's going to happen. It looks like it's going to happen, but is it going to happen? And we don't know. So what am I talking about? Well, this is the area that is what I'm looking at, right? So on the left of that area, you can see that there is the high that's here. There is the second high that happened just around that. So that's a double top there, pretty strong level. And you can see that this level here, the candle, the wick has closed back pretty much at the same level. And currently this is forming a red candle. So this might turn out to be a pretty strong sell. And we'll see. So if it does show up in 3 minutes, I should just set an alarm for 3 minutes to come back and have a look at this. I'll listen to a podcast, but this time with my headphones. I need to explain I'm listening to a very funny podcast as well. So I might be just chuckling to myself for no particular reason. And again, if you just join this channel, this is an accountability channel for myself. It is not necessarily a teaching channel, although if you stick around, you'll learn some stuff. You'll pick some stuff out, and hopefully, lead to some more successful trading. Because I know that there's some friends of mine who are traders who'd like to improve their numbers as well. The audacity of the channel is, as it says here next to my head, live trading $100 to 1 million. And this is day one. And, well, as it stands currently, it looks a little bit too audacious. We have lost $11.25 of 100, which in terms of proportions is not a great number. But again, it's a different way we're pushing back against how most people are thinking about money. And at this particular stage of it, even though I'm going to try to keep going at this, I'm really going to have to wait for a good opportunity to come up so that I can put us back on the board, which is frustrating. It's just been a few mistakes that really shouldn't happen. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that it does happen, and when it does happen, it's frustrating, and I have to factor in a few of the ideas of what's going on in my psychology as I try to figure it out, right? Because look, losing the challenge isn't something that I want to do. It's not a it's that it's a lesson I don't need to learn. I don't want to learn that lesson. I don't want to pay for that lesson. It's not going to be an expensive lesson to learn, but it's still something that I would rather not do. So anyway, back to this. This is looking promising. It looks like a double top that's happening across that gray bar that you see. And let's see if I can find an opportunity around that. Now, especially when there's a kind of an edge like this, there's always that last minute gasp that tends to happen in the market, as in, like, instead of just pushing down and rushing down like it normally you're expecting it to do, I'm kind of expecting it to do a little bit of a push up just before it does the rest of the the shenanigans, right? So that's, and it's again, it's just something that I've noticed in the market. It sets up a signal that says, yep, it's on. And then just wants to mess with you a little bit. Now, it's somebody who's doing that, obviously, but again, like I said, it's not the price. The price doesn't do it, but it's somebody's shenanigans is making that happen. So as you can see on the chart there, nice entry, and then it gets pushed back a little bit, and I'm going to see whether we can find an entry that is going to be a reasonable one. Let's see, does it gonna go up anymore? Come on, you want to do it? Come on. Yes, you've just tuned into a guy talking to a chart. That happens a lot. Actually, not so much when there's no microphone and camera on, but now that there is one, it happens a lot more as well. I am going to... Still going to wait around and see a little bit. It's just one of those things that I learned about markets in general, especially when it gets to a place where a turn is going to happen or there's some indecision about it. The feeling is always going to be that it's going to be this immediate on the penny turnaround, right? And occasionally it is. Occasionally you'll have that moment, but just in the grand scheme of things, there's enough swirl, I think, happening in the market for it to just have a little bit of a flutter. And if we get a chance to, I'm going to try and get the slightly better price. So the sell, as far as I'm concerned, the sell is in. And let me see what the price, what the pullback, still it's quite big, 357 points. So that's actually $3 or a 3% trade. And currently it's, over the last 3 minutes, has been stalled in that area. So that doesn't sound very cool. It hasn't really pushed all the way back either. So let's see. Not enough to really say there's a retest as well of that. There's a little bit of that going on. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So this is what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking about here. There's an idea where they talk about markets rhyming. So if you look at what's happening up here, you can see it hit a high, and then it went down, and then it came back and did a retest, and then it went down. Something similar sort of happening right now. It's pushing back again. I think just because of the way, like I said, markets tend to rhyme. It's probably going to be doing a bit of that as well right now. It's going to push down a little bit more. So this And keeping in mind that this took some time, so this is not it's not just one. It always feels like it's just 1 minute and it's the next minute, or this is the 3 minutes, but I always seem to forget that it takes time. It just takes time for that market to sort of express itself before it pulls itself back like that. And I'm going to wait a little while for this to do its thing. Um, Let me see what the previous time took. Let me just put that there and calculate that. Here we go. So to give you a sense of how long it took for that price to come back up again to that second time, it was 60 bars. So it was an hour. So it was a full hour before the price came all the way back up again. And so we're going to see what happens now as well. I'll give it a full hour for it to happen. It looks like it may happen in a quicker time than that. And let's see if it actually is happening at all, because it might just be pushing up and setting up a new high. So we're going to watch this, and I think this is going to be the last attempt for this trading session. It's not been the best, but it's going to be part of the history of this channel. It's day one, end of day one. Dinner time's coming up pretty soon, and as I mentioned on one of I mentioned in the earlier session that this is supposed to be about reducing the amount of time that I spend trading, so I don't want to keep coming back because I've had a losing day. That's just not going to be something that is, you know, it's not a good habit to break. But yeah, let's see what happens here. This is going to be possibly the last hurrah for the day. I really wish I could try and even reduce the risk even more as I open the next trade, but I don't think that's going to be possible. The trade is going to be with the 300 points again. Top, let me see what happens here. Yeah, actually, this is not looking very promising in terms of a trade that's going to go south currently. There's not enough. There doesn't seem to be enough commitment right now towards any kind of downward movement, and that's a bit different from the other from the earlier place where I was talking about the rhyme. Using the crosshairs so you can see this low here hasn't gone lower than here, so this is actually not a new low as well. Although right now it's still working on trying to match the highs from before, and if it does not succeed in a somewhat spectacular way, as in maybe there's an engulfing candle that comes out of this engulfing bear candle, then I am going to be convinced of a sell. However, it is still not doing that, so I think we are more or less coming up to the end of the opportunities. So that's just the way it is in terms of time. My kids are flying off this evening, so it'd be important to spend some time with them at dinner time as well before they head off on the journey. And again, I'm just watching this to remind myself of what happens when the structure is not in, right? I mean, the expectations were that it's going to be a nice sell, and even though if we look at the way it looked at this level, this first look looked really good and promising, but it didn't quite pay off. So that's the way that cookie crumbled. We're seeing this getting to push a bit harder. It's actually pushing off a level and going on to a next level, which is technically not a bad reason to enter a trade. But it is, again, at the top of it, which is irritating. Oh, man. This thing about knowing where it's going, but not being able to take it. Ah! Yeah, so just gonna say it's gonna go, it's gonna push, it's gonna get to this level here based on that, right? And that is gonna be 161, which is not very much. Again, like I said, some kind of a face saving trade, but no, not a good reason to get in at all. This is the next level. There's the I just marked off a level here. This is the M15 level, and it should be interesting to see what the price does at that level again. I'm laughing because that level is something that I mentioned earlier, the 3400 mark. So this actually makes this level very interesting. It's 3400 and or just about 3400. So again, nice, really nice round number and a good potential for a push off as well. And yeah, if I was in charge of a market, it'd be a kind of price that we would be looking at as a place to control the market so that it could remain in a sell if you wanted to keep selling. And of course, if I was going to be a bull, it'd be a good time to engage the thrusters. It is a nice round number. You can also enroll other people into the fight. So last opportunity, and just gonna say it is gonna be in this area here. We're just gonna see what happens to the price as it approaches. This might be an opportunity actually for a little buy. This is going to be with the momentum of the small chart. So it's 5 on the 15s, on the 5s, and on the 1s. There's a little bit going on here. Let's see where this is going to go. This is 300, almost 40. And this is about 300 in the other way. No, we want to make sure it comes back a bit more before we take that. Oof. Wave 1, 2, pull back up again. Wave up, pull back up again. Yeah. So you can see when you look back, right? You can go and see that okay. So this trend is still intact, and there's a tendency for trends to remain. That's the one other thing to keep in mind, right? It's like keep thinking and want to get a reversal, want to get a reversal, want to get a reversal. But at the same time, I just have to keep in mind that the tendency is for a trend to continue, right? So more or less at any point along the way, even though I'm thinking about a reversal, what is more likely is a continuation of the trend, until it gets to the point where it changes around. But it's just more likely that it will go with the trend. So even at this point right now, even though I'm looking for this reversal at this higher level here, the tendency for this until it gets to that point is that it will probably stay on trend, keep going. And that is why about to do something very cheeky here, which is take a little cheeky monkey trade. Let's see what happens here. It happens in both directions. There's a smaller trend going up now. And like I said, it may be maybe the death of me, but we'll see. Smallest sign of the continuation there. A retest. So the overwhelming feeling or challenge right now is to try to catch this as it pops down before it continues on that onward journey, right? And that's the eternal fallacy for me, because I need to see what the market actually decided to do each time, and the best I can do is get a minute by minute sort of look at the chart, right? So it's behaving based on that. And it needs to, if anything, it needs to reject based on whatever price it is, so that we can then move in, and it will be based on a closed candle, right? So the challenging thing is it always looks like something is going to happen, and the temptation is to take an action before it actually happens. So if you just what I am looking for right now is the possibility of doing a very small trade on the upside, because the trend is still very much on the upside. It's a smaller trend, and there are at least 3 time frames for which it works. So that's going to be enough for me to just take a little bit of a gander here, because it's come down, push up, another one pushed up again, and then the trend overall is still going on. So this is going to be a little bit not significant, but just a little bit of a push. And because I think the number is significant as well, I think it's going to make it to that price, right? Risk is just 1%. Well, it's bigger than 1% now because of the slightly smaller account. Bit by bit, we'll make our way back. And then when it gets to the top there, the idea is that we'll look out for a sell, because that is still the overall picture. The markets need to move from the different levels to each other, right? They need to move, they need to clear their throat, clear their stock, clear their inventory, if you like, before they push on. And so this is kind of what is happening. This is why even in a downtrend, you can have these moments where you have these nice long push-ups like that, because that's the way it is. And yeah, we're just gonna see how this plays out. I'm really, really hoping it's just not going to be another one of those situations where it's just bad luck again. But I think it's looking okay. A little closer than I would like it, but little swirls. I'm sure I'm going to watch this back and laugh at myself. Just really the way I get a bit tense on all these little things like that. But yeah. Okay, that's out. And that is out. See where you go. Come on. Wave 1, wave 2, up and down. Still not. I'm not convinced this has gone down yet. So I'm going to do that. Bad boy. That is going to stay within that level there. 1%. It's partly because the number is, the price right now is $33.95. Again, it's kind of one of those magic round numbers. So if it is going to hold or if it is going to turn, I think it's going to stay on the right side of that. I've just added another buy. And I'm just going to put it down at a little bit of a risk like that. Small 1%, 1%. So it's 2% right now that I'm putting down. And that is to make a total of 6 if I'm right at that level. If it's at the 3400 level, it's a 10% trade. I think it's something that we can do. Trying to get this in here, but it's not holding or doesn't seem to be taking. So we shall put that in manually. 33.94, 84, 33, 94, 84. $33.94.84. Is that it? No, that's not what you want. 33.99.84. 33.99. Okay. So this is purely based on the momentum going up, and this will be one of those trades I'll review with my mentor and see, okay, you know what, does this make sense? It's just instinctive, the sense that the trend is still up and the price seems to be bouncing around this at this number significantly, 33.95. Like I said, it's all the round numbers are significant. There's always a little bit to it. And the momentum was up. The overall trend is up at this particular point. The small trend is up. So this could play out. This could play out well. And it could play out badly. So, again, the risk at this point, because it is on the pullback, the risk is so much smaller than if it was going to be at the leading edge of it. So to give you just an idea, like if we were to, for instance, if I was going to take this trade, like say because of this movement going up like this, and I say, oh, okay, therefore it goes above here, and we do a buy, that usually means that we would have to put quite a lot down in terms of a risk as well, right? So it's going up here, and then we would risk about that much, 500 points, and that's $5 if it's a zero point 0.1 lot kind of a deal. So what we're doing instead is waiting for that high to be reached, and then there's a pullback, and we're trying to get in on the pullback because before it moves in that direction, it means that the amount of money that we have to risk is much less because we're betting on the idea that it's on the way up here. So we're going to be getting into it as close as we can to the actual pullback. And in this case, we seem to be a little bit lucky. Double bottom forming as well. And it's a possibility, a nice possibility, that we're going to hit this level here. It's going to bring us closer to break even for the day, but yeah, ups and downs. And only 99 days more to go. I was telling my coach how it's going to be really my mentor, how I'm already thinking how to make this go faster, but there really isn't a way to make it go faster. It really just has to be something that happens, and it has the compound, and so that's the challenge. And so far, the first day has not been the best of days. It's not been the worst of days. I mean, I've had worse days because I've overstretched myself as well. So I'm going to say that much anyway. But the day is not necessarily over. Well, actually, it's just kind of. I think I'm going to have to call it at 7 o'clock because it's dinner time. But let's just try and finish off this trade. And I think I've decided that that is actually very undecisive. I've decided that what I'll do is I will, if I can, close in profit. In the meantime, let me see if I can. No, I'm going to take this call a bit later on. Okay. Yo, hello. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I know who you are. Hey, Kenneth, I'm in the middle of something right now. Interesting times. Okay. So again, the learning has always been that the price is most likely to return only to the level that it's been to before, And so a very, very good place to close this trade would have been actually right now, right? Exactly where it is right now, which is sort of at the price that it has been to before the previous high. That's a reasonable place to close. Um, what I'm doing right now is I'm taking a little bit of a punt on what I see is the momentum of the moment, right? There is a push. There's been a double bottom just recently, and it's pushing up towards this high as well. And there's a propensity for price to reach out for significant levels, as in it wants to get there, right? The market has set a target for itself. It usually is sort of a place where the price is going to end up. It's going to land, right? So this is what we're I'm kind of placing a punt on. If it proves to be wrong, as in the market's going to push back against me, I'm going to make a smaller profit, but I'm not going to take a loss on this. And let's commit to that by moving the stop loss up here. Um, this could be frustrating because it could do a quick pullback before it goes back to where I think it's going to go. But yeah, let's see. And right now, it seems to be hovering. It seems to be pushing and holding its low price. So over the last 3 minutes, which is significant, the price hasn't come down, below a certain level, which means it's holding that hovering pattern and it's making a concerted effort. Now the question is whether or not it's gonna flutter and suddenly just push itself up and get past there, or it's gonna get pushed down and we are out. We will see. But what I've got right now is also my finger on the button to close everything if it just doesn't look like the thing that I want it to be. There's a frustrating thing about this. There literally is a kind of like 50-50 sort of thing, right? It could go either way. And what are we gonna do to either stay in the trade or to get out of it? And that really is something that you just have to get used to it and go like, okay, you're in it, you're gonna win it, or you're not gonna win it. And that's all that there is to it. It's just going to be a result, right? And that is the challenge that I have to take on board as well. Because what I want to do many times, and with all things in life, is to win. And winning doesn't just mean doing better than not losing, if you know what I mean, right? So like in this particular case now, whether this price is going to hold and stay up enough to go up to the price which I think it's eventually going to get to, which is going to be the 3,400. That's the big challenge for me, right? I'm trying to win the game, and because I'm trying to win the game, I'm holding on to this right now, and I think it's going to happen, you know. And the bad feeling or the negative feelings around this is because you think, okay, well, I had a bigger win earlier. It had, I wasn't in negative territory. I was actually in pretty okay money. $7, $8 out of a $2 trade. That's pretty good. And at the same time, not as great as I want it to be. So now it's pushing, and let's see where we get. So to me, this is a good sign, right? The price is coming down. It pushes back down a little bit, and it can't really push down that far. So it's indicating that there is more support in the market. And because I'm playing for a short time, I'm not going to be playing this all the way through to much later tonight. This might be the very end of it, at least for today. Again, I'm going to say the responsible thing closed now. What I'm holding on is just for that little bit more. Let's see what happens. It's going to get there. may just not want to. Okay, it's not actually even set at 3,400. It's set at a little bit before that. But that is always the challenge that goes along with that. Yeah. So yeah, I think let's just call it the day. It's likely to go a little more, but let's just be happy with the outcome and to be grateful, I guess, right? To as Tom said, not to be a dick over a few ticks, but let me run this for one more minute and see what happens. Because very frustratingly, what's going to happen now, it's going to go all the way, right? It's just going to go like real past and go all the way up into 3,500 or something like that. Just going to be frustrating, but for now, we'll close it. I think here, come on, you can do this. You're almost there. Dinner time waits. Okay. I want to say it's certain. But again, nothing ever really is. That's the problem with trading. Worst case scenario, okay, we're gonna be up back to about $90. Best case scenario in the present, if I can do this right now, we'll be at 95, which means a 5% loss for the day, which is still pretty good. We could, of course, just end up with, I think, what we are going to end up with, which is slightly better than that. Are we going to do that? Yep. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to just close it up here and walk away with a 6% loss for the day. So that is it for today. Overall, not the best of performances that would lead us to where we're going, but at least we're still doing all right. And I almost don't want to look at the chart anymore because it's just going to go, right? It's just going to go. No, it's not. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for keeping me